We're going to talk about how I want you to mud these outside corners here. Remember, when you put your tape across your horizontal edges, you don't want it to overlap the corner bead. Instead, you're going to overlap, when you put the tape on here to overlap your corner bead, that tape will also overlap the horizontal bead. So the biggest thing that I'm seeing people do when they put this mud on is they're putting it on like this, and it's kind of, see how it globs and falls down the side like that? So if you just take and simply put the mud on and you kind of come out at an angle, see how it goes on nice and easy, and then I can run down and smooth that. So if you come out of that in an angle like that, it's going to give you that nice clean corner. So remember, just like we're applying stain to our woodworking project, we're going to put it on thick. What we care about is just getting enough mud on there. What we don't want to do, we don't want to put it on and not have enough mud, because then we find ourselves peeling the tape off and having to re-mud it. And I can see by looking at the top here that I'm a little short up here. So we're going to take our tape. Do you remember how much of the corner bead we're covering with our tape? We're going to cover half of that exposed metal. Remember, if we put it too close to the outside, there you go. If we put it too close to the outside corner, it's going to be too far out and we're not going to have enough room to cover it with mud. So I'm going to keep it about that distance away. I'm going to run it all the way down. And remember you guys have probably seen this, when you're mudding your horizontal joints, as you run your knife down it, you get that big bubble, right? Where it bubbles up and the mud comes out. So if I start at the top and I run all the way down, by the time I get to the bottom, I'm going to have this huge bubble and it'll fold over, causing problems. So I'm going to run up from the center and I'm going to angle out. I'm going to angle the right side down a little bit. That's going to force the mud out the outside, or out the right side of the tape. Okay, now I want you guys to notice how much mud I got out there. And contrast that to if I let my knife sit up on the corner bead, right? If I sit on the corner bead sticks out farther, and so I won't be able to pull as much of the mud out. You see the difference there? This tape up here is not embedded as far as this is, because I let my knife run against the corner bead. But when I go like this, I get a lot more mud out, okay? I'm gonna come down here now, I'm gonna lift the right side up so that it again forces the mud out, away from the corner. Before I get too far, I'm going to get rid of this so I don't drop it on the floor. All right. Now, if I got all the mud out, I don't need to worry about cleaning any of this off, right? Because I'm just going to take and put more mud over top of it. Same thing, I'm going to put it on thick. I'm going to run across at an angle. All right, so once I'm sure I've got enough on there, I'll get it semi-smoothed out. Now this part, when you finish this doesn't take a lot of finesse, because I'm going to let the left side of my knife run on the corner bead, and the right side is going to sit right on the wall. So all I got to do is apply some pressure, remembering that if I'm coming down at a flat angle, it's going to spread, but if I'm up like this, I'm going to pull it off, right? So I'm going to lay it down at a pretty steep angle, and I'm going to run it down the wall. And if you look at that, that's pretty uniform in width, and it's pretty smooth, because it's kind of hard to mess up when you got one side resting on the wall and the other side resting on the corner, okay? So when you get done, if you got something that looks, kind of rough like that, you know that you haven't accomplished what you're after. You want something that's got this even width, and if you run down this, and let's say you have too much in one area, and you run down it, and you leave a big ridge out there, you can just come back in and just gently scrape that off, right? Of course, that's over top of the seam, that makes it tougher. But you can see what I'm getting at? So now we run that down all the way from the top, past that seam. We got a nice even edge. Now when this dries, this, instead of being straight across, it will shrink, and it will shrink in and have to be filled. So when we cover it our next time, it'll fill that gap. But that's essentially what you're looking for with your vertical corners.